So I want to go over what Aaron Rodgers had to say after yesterday's win on Monday Night Football, beating the Rams 24-12. Go through some things that Rodgers had to say about this game and the outlook for the Packers and sort of what he sees going forward for these next 3 games. So starting off here, these quotes are all from an article by Rob Demovsky of ESPN. And first off here is what Rodgers said. Well, it's 3 now, meaning 3 we need to win, to stay alive. Rodgers said Monday, we've got 2 in the bag. I don't know. Look, before the Bears week, we knew we had a bye afterwards. And those of us who sometimes peek ahead knew that we had to win 5 and then have a lot of things go our way. So we've won 2, and just about everything we needed to happen has gone our way. Just about, right? So things are looking up. And for the Packers team that at one point had lost 5 games in a row, it really felt like the season was practically over. But now the fact the Packers have won the past 2 games, beating the Bears, beating the Rams, 2 teams I think the Packers definitely should have beat. It now has us in a position where, even though we're sitting here at 6-8, if we win out, if the Commanders lose 2 of their 3 games, if the Seahawks lose 1 of their 3 games, and hopefully we win the tiebreaker with the Lions, the Packers make the playoffs. So to be sitting here at the end of December with Aaron Rodgers, it feels good that the Packers are still in a position to make the playoffs, because earlier in the season it honestly felt like that was not even going to be the case. And luckily, we are still alive, and after beating a Rams team yesterday, looking ahead, the Dolphins are definitely a much more talented team, a team that is going to be a lot harder to beat. But the Packers, I think, after seeing what we saw yesterday, there's at least a chance going forward. Then we have here from Rodgers. I mean, they're all good football teams, Rodgers said. Miami's playing for the playoffs. Minnesota's obviously division winners and coming off a big win. Detroit's won, 6 out of 7? They're playing really well. So it's going to be 3 difficult games. 2 of them are at home against dome teams. It'll be January for those 2. We've notoriously been pretty good in those games over the years. So considering those 2 games, as Rodgers mentioned, the game against the Vikings and the Lions, the final 2 games of the season, are in Lambeau Field. If we can come in on Christmas Day in Miami and beat the Dolphins, at that point, I think that the momentum is very strongly with the Packers. And if we only needed 2 more wins, both at Lambeau Field, I really feel like those could be very competitive, potentially close games. And I think, honestly, when we're looking ahead to these final 3 games, the game that I'd be the most worried about is the Dolphins, because they played a really close game with the Buffalo Bills. They have an offense that can put up tons of points. The Packers' defense this year has struggled at times, lots of the season. Besides this past game, there's been lots of games the Packers' defense has struggled. When you have a player like a Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, guys who can break away with their speed, this Packers offense is going to need to put up lots of points, because even against the Bills defense, that is probably one of the best in the NFL, the Dolphins were still able to put up 29 points. So luckily, this Packers offense these past few weeks, this past month, has really been, turning it up, playing a lot better, putting up a lot more points. It doesn't look, the offense is definitely not as stagnant as it was earlier in the season. So I like our chances, but this next game against Miami, in Miami, is a must win. It's going to be a tough game, but hopefully if the Packers can pull this one off, we'll be home for the final 2 games, which, having games when it's freezing cold in Lambeau Field, it's always exciting. Then to finish it off here, he was asked by a reporter, does he think the Packers can win out? And he says, I do. Yeah, I do, Rodgers repeated. Now we're going to play 3 better football teams, but I do definitely. So right now, I'm just glad that it's December 20th. The Packers still have their playoff hopes alive, even though it's been a very up and down season, to say the least. At least right now, we're sitting here right before Christmas with an opportunity to bring it back to Lambeau Field, and hopefully, if things go our way, if the Commanders can lose a couple games, if the Seahawks can lose, which seem like it's possible. The Commanders have the 49ers, the Cowboys, and who's the final team? I think the Browns. It's possible. So we'll see what happens. I just wanted to show you guys those comments from Rodgers after the game. But thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more Packers content, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.